Lions at the Vikings, a very interesting game here. Steven has a play. I have a play in this one. We are looking currently as the Vikings have now, oh, wow, this thing has run all the way to 9.5 at DraftKings now. You can find a 9 out there if you want to do this. This thing was at 7 48 hours ago. It is sitting at 9.5 now in favor of the Vikings. 49.5 is the total here. Well, my play's irrelevant because I have the Vikings in several teaser legs here. So I can't give you accurate analysis on this because I took the Vikings from 7.5 down to 1.5 against the Lions here. So I can't help. One thing I can say, offensive lineman, probably one of the better offensive linemen, not just for the Lions, but in the league. Ragnow did get, he's out on IR now for the Lions. And so he's going to be out in this thing. Looks like Dalvin Cook is back as full strength as a running back can be at this point in the season. He's going to be a go for the Vikings as well. Steven, where are you at on this one? Because again, my play is no longer valid here.
Brad and I had a fun little debate between the Bears and the Lions last week, and he got me. He got the Bears came out and handled business with Justin Fields and Matt Nagy's job maybe on the line. I am still I'm the Lions apologist on this podcast, guys. I'm sorry. I'm still considering with this ridiculous amount of points that it's moved to maybe take the Lions the plus 9.5 here. Plus 10 if we get it would definitely be a bet for me. This line is telling us that the Minnesota Vikings are basically on par with 3 of the other Lions opponents that they've had this year. They were 9-point dogs to the Niners at home. They were 11.5-point dogs to the Packers on the road. They were 7.5-point dogs at home to the Ravens. I'm not putting the Vikings at that level with those 3 other teams. I'm not doing it. So from a numbers standpoint, I think this has gotten a little out of control, and I think we do have a little bit of value on the Lions here. And going back to that game against Chicago last week, for me, it's still process over results. Yes, they lost by 10 points, but if you look at what happened, their first 3 drives of the game, a miscommunication on a snap on 1st and goal that bounced off of the quarterback over the offensive line and into the defender's hands on 1st and goal. So that's at least 3 points wasted. Next drive, an odd decision for me for Dan the Man Campbell to go for it on 4th and goal from the 5-yard line and failed. Next drive, 3rd and goal from the 3, and they fumble. In the 4th quarter, they also had a failed 4th and goal from the Chicago 8-yard line. So conservatively, that's 12 points that they left off the board and a 10-point loss. So just overall, to me, this Lions team is not the Houston Texans. They're sloppy as hell. I would admit that. They are sloppy as hell. I'm hoping they clean that up, but they can still move the ball. And from an advanced metric standpoint, the Lions are 15th in success rate. Minnesota's offense is 26th. The O-line is better, but they are banged up, I admit that. So I am watching this injury report very closely as well. Penei Sewell also had an injury concern. If he doesn't play, I'm completely off this bet because then their O-line is decimated. But overall, the O-line has been better. 12th in pressure allowed versus 26th for the Vikings. In early down success, the Lions have been 7th in early down success. Brad, you mentioned how that's a sticky stat with elite offenses when we talked about the Eagles game. The Vikings are 27th in early down success. So, and the last point I'll make, the Detroit offense has actually been better than the Vikings in explosive plays as well. So I think it's a mistake for this to get as high as it's gotten. I'm going to be watching that injury report very closely, but plus 9.5 and definitely plus 10 would be a bet for me at this point with the Lions. I'm hoping they clean it up.
Steven, this thing again has run now, a full 2.5 points in favor of the Vikings at home against this Lions team, a total of 49.5. I guess for me is, the weakness, I guess, if you want to start pointing at weaknesses for Minnesota, it would certainly be that this offensive line, their pass block win rate is sitting at 28th in the league so far through the short season, 26th in pressure allowed. But do the Lions have the tools to really take advantage of that? Because one thing we know about Kirk Cousins is that the guy sitting in the pocket, if he doesn't have to run for his life, he's actually a pretty good quarterback. It's just when he gets pressure that he really starts to fall apart. PFF has him graded as an 8th graded quarterback through 4 weeks of the season so far as passer rating goes on their end, on their metrics. So what do you see in this one, if anything? Lions and Vikings, 9.5 and a 49.5 total.
Yeah, so just to that last point on Cousins, right? The scouts, the analysts on Kirk, like he wants, he's a bit OCD basically, and he wants the play to be perfect for him to start cutting it loose, right? Like if the pocket's muddy and the read isn't perfect, then Kirk doesn't throw it, he turtles up, he's not a good player. But if there's no pressure and the play unfolds like it should do, Kirk can be elite, right? As you know, without pressure, he's one of the very best in the NFL. And the Lions are dead last in pass rush win rate. It's kind of a similar handicap to what we had last week with the Bears, right? They just got mauled by the Browns. Well, last week the Vikings got mauled by the Browns. Then they go and face the Lions, and suddenly the pass rush disappears, and everyone looks so much better because there's no one in your face. So. Yeah, I just see Kirk with a lot of time to find those two elite receivers, essentially. Now, my first look was to the over, and because of that, but then this injury report came out. It's possibly no Penei Sewell on left tackle. Now they're already down Taylor Decker at left tackle, so they could be down to their third string left tackle. The center's out, and then TJ Hawkinson, the tight end's out. So suddenly this offensive line, which I think is basically the only reason the Lions are any good, like because you've got a bad quarterback, you have no receivers, but at least you've got a run game and you've got some time in the pocket. Well, suddenly that's disappearing here, and then you've got Goff with a bad O-line and bad receivers against a smart defensive coordinator, and I could see that getting really ugly personally. So, I personally think Vikings minus 9.5 is worth a small bet.
Yeah, I mean, also of note, Romeo Okwara, defensive lineman, also, he ruptured his Achilles. He's out for the season for the Lions as well. He was actually graded as the 6th best edge rusher through the first 3 weeks of the season before going down in week 4. So Detroit really, really banged up in this thing, and certainly going to have to dig deep on that depth chart to not on both lines, we should say.
And I just want to clarify so that everybody, all of our listeners, are on the same page here. If TJ Hawkinson, their star tight end and their number 1 target, and Penei Sewell, their star tackle, are out and not playing in this game, I'm not betting on the Lions to cover the spread. Just so everybody understands that. We're all on the same page on that. Those are 2 huge pieces. So this is not a bet that I would make right now. No, I would not bet this yet. But I think the number's gotten out of control, and it's because of the injuries. But if those 2 are in on Sunday and it's still 9.5, 10 points, that's when I would do it. But I'm not betting this right now. Okay.
So this was not in the account yet. This is just something you're interested in. Okay. All right. I do just want to be transparent here with people if they're
definitely
if they're wondering.